So we're doing a reaction video to a video. Well, we're doing a reaction video to the comments of a video, right?
Yeah.
I did a reaction video of a reaction video, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, because for some reason that dumbass didn't credit the people, so we could actually get the original video, but...
True. Tell you what, James, why don't we play right now? Go ahead and edit in the video where I am doing the review.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Parenting.
I just have one question. What did black women do to black men that was so bad? What did we do historically that was so bad?
Stole our children and used them as pawns for child support. You embarrass us on the daily by not dressing modestly. You talk about our mothers when we disagree with your behavior. You call us homosexual when we...
Right there. None of that is true. This is an expression of anger issues and maternal issues. You know where the anger issues come from?
Harris, how many times have I told you to clean this motherfucking room? Cut that goddamn game off to clean this room. I come back, this motherfucking room ain't clean. I'm gonna take that Nintendo cord, wrap it around your neck, and stick it in your ass. Nigga, I ain't playing with you. This ain't no threat.
That is how your son learned to relate to women, especially black women, black mothers. And that is how your daughter learned to treat a man. Okay, so definitely because it was YouTube short, I had to cut out a lot of both the video and my take on the video.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, I was basically saying this dude is a piece of crap and he's got serious anger issues and most of what he's saying is wrong and stupid. Mm-hmm. In a nutshell.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to point out was, how many likes did that video get, James?
What, the video, the reaction video?
Yeah.
184.
Okay, so I got 184 likes.
Yeah.
And how many negative comments?
Well, there's 34 comments. I don't really know if all of them are negative, but, you know.
And some are replies. So let's say 30. So 30, like, disagreeing negative comments. So everyone's already voted and you're wrong. So that's just, you know, that's just math. I mean, you got like a 5-to-1 ratio?
I mean, I guess so, yeah. Although, I guess likes might not necessarily mean you agree. No, that's stupid. Of course it does.
Okay, so let's do this, James. Go ahead and right here, edit in the original video, the whole original video.
Okay, I will do that.
I just have one question. What did black women do to black men that was so bad? What did we do historically that was so bad?
Stole our children and used them as pawns for child support. You embarrass us on the daily by not dressing modestly. You talk about our mothers when we disagree with your behavior. You call us homosexual when we assert our masculinity. You lie on us to the world by telling them that we unalive you every 5.5 hours. You call the police on us and get us thrown in prison or jail more than anybody else. You disrespect us when we try to bring together our families, which is what you did when you brought up Kevin Samuels in your video. You claim that we're trash and deadbeat fathers even though we are the most involved in our children's lives. You always talking about how we bash you, but you never bring up the videos of us doing so. What you would rather do is just say it and then act like the videos we do post about you aren't about your behavior, mannerisms, and characteristics that we wish would change. And now here you are acting like a victim, crying to us.
Okay, cool. So I don't want to go point by point, but there were some things in there that I didn't have a chance to, you know, get into.
Yeah.
The one about stealing our children and using them as pawns for child support. I've heard that before. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Well, basically, apparently, well, first of all, stealing their children, it's hard to steal something that someone doesn't want. Besides that, the law states, and it's a very good moral principle, that a child has the right to be financially supported by both parents. Right?
Okay.
So, saying that they're using them as a pawn for child support is basically saying you're a deadbeat and don't want to pay child support.
Alright.
Here's the thing, though. My whole career, I always would have all these people, lots of people, who would not file for child support, right? They wouldn't try to get child support. And I couldn't ever understand why. Like, it just baffled me. And I would suggest it. And in our state, which I won't say what state, but in our state, you can just call the Department of Child Services and they'll do it for you. There's like a prosecutor's office dedicated to going after child support. So all you have to do is like fill out a form and it'll happen. And you can garnish the wages or whatever you need to do to get child support. But here's the thing. I finally, after all these years of dealing with people who get involved in, child protective services and all that, I finally came to the realization that the reason they don't file child support is because if child support is paid, the state's going to take most of it because of what they spend on the woman already in welfare. In other words, if you get a lot of welfare, food stamps, subsidized housing, stuff like that, if the dad pays child support, they're going to take it. And I don't even know when I found that out. I found that out some point along the way. But that's why so many people don't have to get on child support. Is because, the mom is like, well, hey, he's probably not contributing. He brings over a pack of diapers every third week when he wants a booty call. But that's the most they're going to get out of him. Next thing that was said, if I recall, was that black men are the most involved in their children's lives. I'm assuming he's saying more than other races. I don't know why is it a black thing and a white thing? Because I know a lot of both races that are on both sides of the fence, Like, I'm definitely a firm believer that most of our societal problems, if not all, are caused by shitty parenting. You agree with that?
Okay. I have trouble with listening to things because I have ADHD, but I hope you guys are listening on. I hope you guys are.
So, and that's why, and I don't get into my career and profession, and I don't want it to be like, because I don't want it to be like, oh, you should listen to me because I have certain degrees or certain fancy job titles, The advice, the guidance should stand on its own, If nothing else, this is a lot to do with just being a dad and a granddad and having a bunch of kids. And how many grandkids do I have?
Okay, so we got...
Don't say their names.
Oh, crap.
But anyway.
Somebody that starts with a W.
So we have 3 grandchildren right now.
All right.
And that's because you and your sister haven't given me any grandkids yet. It'll be a while.
Yeah.
So anyway, where are we going next, James?
Where are we going next?
Yeah, enough setup. Let's go to the actual comments. Let's take them one at a time.
All right,
let's see what they are. There are some really stupid comments.
All right,
incredibly stupid people.
We are going to the comments now.
Let's do it. I don't know.
Users,
there's no editing, is there? There's not going to be any editing in this video.
Well, there's not going to be too much editing, but I'm gonna edit in like what the comments say.
Yeah. So this is off the cuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just going to go with and I probably won't say the exact right thing I want to say, but let's just do it. Au natural.
All right. This person says, this guy has definitely not talked to actual black Americans.
Oh man, if he knew how wrong he was, he'd realize exactly how silly that is. First of all,
I mean, yeah, that's true. You have talked to a bunch of black Americans.
I have talked to my share of black Americans. Also, we have 2 black Americans in the family. Like, literally family members.
Yeah.
Your cousins, right?
Oh, yeah. Those people are black.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, but here's my question.
What?
So what? Do I have to have intimate relationships with a certain number of black people to recognize good parenting or recognize someone with anger issues?
Yeah.
And I do think, though, that attitude is really what comes down to the core of the problem, right? Some people will say, like, you can't understand anything I'm going through because you're not black, right? And first of all, I don't have to talk to a bunch of black people to know what good parenting is, right?
Right now, this guy says, no, what you said is not true. What he said is actually factual. Both of the things he said are true, and much, much more.
Okay. I don't know how he comes to that conclusion. For one thing, you're not talking factual. These are opinions. I mean, how do you factually examine the statement, we're the most involved in our children's lives? There's no way to get first of all, what criteria? I mean, are you talking about just time spent or activities that you've gone and done? I mean, exactly how do you grade having the most involvement in your child's life? Anyway, that's another just idiotic comment. And he doesn't make any specific argument. There's like 5 or 6 different statements there.
Alright, this person, Joe Sire, says, watches TV. I'm an expert on black culture.
Oh, he's saying that I watched TV and became an expert on black culture.
Yeah, basically, look. Yeah. I'm an expert on black culture. With the quote-unquote. With the quotes.
Well, and that's sort of my point. What's black culture?
That's true. There is a bunch of black, like there's multiple like races of, like there's also a bunch of types of people that have a black skin color.
Yeah, there's lots of different cultures that go into it. But again, what does black culture have to do with saying nasty things about black women?
Yeah, like like it's like what it's like white culture. How do you what even is white? Like how would that even work? What? You know?
The truth is, as a man, as a man, your goal should be to value work and responsibility. You know? And your goal as a father should be to... Being a man is making a decision that you're going to value your family, you know, your wife, your children, and your community. And you're gonna work to uplift those and work toward protecting those and valuing those. Mm-hmm. You know? People that talk like this imbecile in the video, they don't know anything about that. They make fun of good parenting. You know? They really do. They literally will make fun of good parents.
Here so that I don't keep
okay, yeah, it's clicking around.
Yeah,
probably a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll to the next one.
Okay, yeah, all right. Who is he to say that was not true? At the very least, he needs to respect that that was his opinion of the issue.
Well, again, I think that someone claiming that black women steal their children is, objectively not true. I mean, if they would go to court and, take a paternity test It doesn't matter what the woman does. They can get their children. They can see their children. But we already talked about why they don't do that. It's kind of difficult because I can't remember everything that's said in the video. Can I, James, do you have the original video on that phone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's real short, so why don't you just pull it up and let me just listen to it real quick.
You embarrass us on the daily by not dressing modestly.
Oh, God, I remember that one. Embarrass you on the daily by not dressing modestly. What kind of shit is that? Oh, man. Now, you know your mom, right, James?
Mm-hmm.
I'm married to her.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say she's... Well, let me not say that. She is objectively drop-dead gorgeous. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage her to wear things that are immodest. You know, whenever you hear that dressing modestly shit, it's always from, like, real religious people, and they want to control their women.
So, like, what? Like, not doing modest would be like, hot? Like, what?
Yeah. So, like, wearing a bikini would be, quote-unquote, not modest. I mean, what do they want to do? Put them in a burqa? Like over in Saudi Arabia? Where everything, only the eyes are cut out. They can't see every ounce of the body. I mean, what? Honestly, it just... Who are you to say that shit? Who are you to say that someone shouldn't dress that way?
Okay, wait. We're off topic. Let's.
All right. Well, let me just run through this real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
Talk about our mothers when we disagree with your behavior.
Well, actually,
you call us homosexual when we assert our masculinity.
Okay, that's one. I don't think I got into that one, but he says they call him homosexual when he inserts his masculinity. What does inserting your masculinity mean?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea.
I don't either.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, I have one image coming to mind, but I can't imagine that that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, that's that would be kind of strange. Yep. You know, you're.
And I don't know, bro. If your woman's calling you homosexual, you got issues beyond child support. That's one I've not heard before. Maybe stop sucking. She won't call you that, I guess.
You call the police on us and get us thrown in prison or jail more than anybody else. You just...
Okay. This is another weird one. If you're doing something to get thrown into prison, I think it's okay for someone to report it. I mean, come on. No one, my wife doesn't call the police on me and get me arrested and thrown into prison. You know why? Because I'm not committing any felonies. Know what I mean? I mean, this is sort of like, dude, don't do crime that's going to get thrown in prison and you don't have to worry about it.
Respect us when we try to bring together our families, which is what you did when you brought up Kevin Samuels in your video. You claim...
I don't know what that means. I do know who Kevin Samuel is. You ever see Kevin Samuel?
No, I do not know.
He died. He died recently.
Really?
But he's a guy that... well, he would definitely lay down some truth on for black women call in. Well, any woman doesn't have to be black, calls in and they basically talk to him and he tells them what's wrong with him, what's wrong with them, and I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what he said. Sometimes he makes some good points, but I do think that there sort of is an epidemic of, and this is what, when I see people that are like supposedly community leaders or financial counselor types, and they're on YouTube or whatever, and they're giving advice, and the advice they're giving is terrible. You know? And I just feel like there's this whole industry based around trying to scam people that don't know any better. And so, anyway.
That we're trash and deadbeat fathers, even though we are the most involved in our children's lives.
Okay, most involved. They call them trash and deadbeat fathers, but they're actually the most involved in your children's lives. You know, it's one of those situations where, hey, maybe that's great. I mean, I had not seen that side of you, but hey, cool.
Always talking about how we bash you, but you never bring up the videos of us doing so. What you would rather do is just say it and then act like the videos we do post about you aren't about your behavior, mannerisms, and characteristics that we wish would change. Now you are acting like a victim, crying to us. Not to lie, you are.
I don't know. That's sort of just like, hey, let's destroy each other. You know? It's just like, hey, you're showing videos of me hating you, and I'm showing videos of you being a complete bitch. Right? It's like, how about, just for starters, try loving each other and showing each other some respect. Right? All right, James, next comment.
Oh, crap, yeah, okay, hold
Oh.
on, where did the other thing go? There we go, right, we did that, I'm pretty sure. You can't, ask a white man that 100 underlined emoji, red thing, whatever.
Huh? Say it again?
You can't ask a white man that underlined 100 emoji.
What does that mean?
Just the emoji that's like an...
No, I get that, but what does that mean? You can't ask a white man that.
I don't know, it's like...
Makes absolutely no sense. You can ask any question of any race. I mean, really, what does me being white have to do with this video?
I don't know. I mean, it's just because you are
You can't ask that of a white man.
About what? You can't.
Why? Because we don't
We aren't black people?
do all this shit? You know, I'll tell you what, though. There's a reason why you're seeing a lot of black women dating white men now. That used to be kind of not very common. I don't know why, but you definitely see that happening.
Alright. Alright, this person says, all of what he said was true, laughing emoji. You're not the white knight in this. You don't know what we gotta deal with. Another laughing emoji.
Actually, I know better than most what you have to deal with.
Okay. This person says, white savior complex. What he's saying is actually true.
You know what? I always hear this shit. You try to say something helpful, and you've got white savior complex. Hey, you know what? Somebody has to be. Somebody has to be. If they don't want to listen, I mean, if somebody had some reasonable guidance and some good ideas, not listening to them because that person's not black and that person's white is just stupid. You know? Just stupid. All right, let's go on.
Oh, all right. Yeah, how about now? Your take is in bad faith at best.
I don't even know what that means.
Me neither.
I'm giving my opinion of what's being said.
All right, this guy...
How's that bad faith, good faith, whatever?
Okay. This guy, Megadad2016, says, I think it's funny how everyone on these comments just addresses his skin color as of that makes him wrong. Sounds like facts about black culture can only come from black persons. So that also means everyone who isn't white is going to stop telling white people how racist they are. You don't know white culture, so how do you know how they think? Just one last thing. You people, all cultures, need to accept the fact that every culture says they are the best. Every Mexican mom wants their kid to marry a good Catholic Mexican. Every Chinese wants their kid to find a good Chinese spouse. Every black mom or dad wants their daughter to find a strong black man, not a weak white man or Mexican. Every white parent wants their daughter to marry a white guy. Is this racism? I don't even know if that's comments to negative or not. I honestly, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with some of that. Some of it I don't necessarily get on board with. Like I said, I don't. I don't think that all black people go into black culture. I think that, we were talking about this earlier. Like, it's hard to say black culture because there's a large percentage of black folks that are, like we've got neighbors, right? They're basically the same like we are. They're just out here trying to raise family in the suburbs, and get away from the crime and all the gang violence and all that shit. So they're not part of that culture. But anyway, I don't necessarily agree that every race thinks that their race is superior and all that. It seems kind of stupid. And I'd love it if you came home with an Asian chick or a Spanish girl. I'd love for you to find a Spanish girl.
Yeah, it's true. I guess, Hispanic people are pretty hot. I can't believe I just said that.
Well, and just to expand, we got family members that are also Hispanic.
Yeah. Like, we have those Hispanic foster sisters.
And we have one daughter that we're adopting that's Spanish.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Yep, let's move on. Alright, Austin says, it's mostly true. Okay, very simple.
Which is mostly true?
I don't know, he just says, it's mostly true.
Yeah, okay.
Alright, this guy says first, alright. Moving on. This person says, you got some big ones to comment on the situation and be so long with the guy with the dress. As said, it's true, and mothers should not discipline their kids that way neither. What? I don't even know what that means.
Read it one more time, slowly.
You got some big ones to comment on the situation and be so long with the guy with the dress. Said it's true, and mothers should not discipline their kids that way. What? It seems like they're like saying a weird sentence in like an alien language. What?
So I get he's saying that I must have some balls to comment about this stuff. I don't think so. I don't think that. Literally, like millions of people make reaction videos. They're like commenting, about things. Okay, I'm lost on the other part of it too. Yeah, I don't know if it's positive, negative, or whatever, but
I don't know.
I think you should. Hey, if you've got something useful, say it.
David Fleet 2362 says, "Oh, it's not true with what Noe. Come to Hood ND, see how true it is."
Well, I do come to the Hood a lot.
Okay.
That's part of it. But, again, why is it... Okay.
Alright. Bobbie Bee to the Bumblebee says, starts at home. Why don't y'all see that?
Is that a disagreeing or an agreeing?
I don't know. Starts at home. Why don't y'all see it? I don't know.
Yeah, I do think... I think he is like agreeing basically. And did you see the cutout where I showed that stand-up comedian and how he was basically, like destroying a poor child? And there's one thing that I always find so funny. Any family that refers to themselves as like the king and the queen, and they call the kids the prince and all that, all the people that do that shit always seem to treat their kids like complete shit, Because I do think, you should treat your kids like royalty. I really do. And that doesn't mean spoiling them to death. Or, you know, but what that means is saying, listen, you know, one of these days I won't be here, and you're going to have to take over, and you know, have all this, and that involves a lot of responsibility. And so preparing you for adulthood and sitting in the big chair, so to speak, is treating you like royalty, you know? But they sit there and they talk about that. I mean, just the video and calling the kids the N-word. I just can't stand that. I can't stand that shit.
All right, 3 more comments. This person says, y'all just too much.
I think he's referring probably to the comments.
I guess. All right, this person says, look, Esau, you are being exposed for the damn evil the Bible speaks about.
I think that's devil.
Oh.
Again, is he saying that I'm being exposed by the devil?
I don't know. And then this person says, it's funny how you're white talking about black people.
Well, let's be clear. I'm not talking about black people. I am talking about what this man is saying on this video. And if he is a representation, or to the extent that he's a representation of black people, and I don't know what, you know, I don't know how many, like if you asked him, you know, what percentage of women supposedly act this way, you know.
Okay, and then okay, so anyway, yeah, and this person says, it's funny how you're white talking about black people. Wait, did we already cover that?
Yeah, is that the same comment, or is that the next comment?
I think that's the same comment. I don't know. I think I
forgot
that.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, Jesse Martino, the general audience for my dad is like 300 years old, and you're still spelling your as Y-O. You are in this situation. It's Y-O-U, and then it's like a apostrophe R-E in this. And yeah, you're still doing it when you're like 40.
Is there any left?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, okay, I was just doing that because it's funny.
So I'll give you one parenting tip while I'm at it. If you're familiar with my videos, that's kind of part of what I do. And that's how I spent my career, is helping people become better parents. Have you ever had a child that was 14 but emotionally more like 10? I think we've all been exposed to that. And you've heard the saying, if you're going to act like a child, I'm going to treat you like a child. And I'm here to say that's not a bad idea. If you have a 14-year-old that isn't at the level where you can treat him like a mature 14-year-old, and he's more of 10, talk to him the way you would a 10-year-old. It'll work. And with that, I bid you good day. Go with God. Bub Chub, let's turn it off.
Or go with non-existent God. All right.
That's for another video.